All right. So here at Transplant City Beer Company over in Litchfield Park, Arizona, sitting here with Alex, who's always with me to my right, and then to my left is Kevin Moore. Hi, Kevin. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Welcome. So you got some tactical goodies that you want to show us today. We talked about it yesterday when I stopped by, and you said you definitely had a bunch of fun stuff to show us. And what I'm looking at right now definitely looks like some good fun stuff.
Thank you.
So I'll let you go over the stuff, and then we'll kind of talk about the fun,
Sure.
The do's and don'ts type of thing, and then we'll go from there.
Sounds good.
All right, brother.
So just a little bit about our company. So I founded M3 Tactical about 3 years ago. It's kind of a funny story. So I was in the middle of finishing my MBA over at Grand Canyon University, and we were going through the different stages of business, and we kind of had to come up with a business name. And I said, if I'm going to do this, and I'm going to go through different parts of a business, I'm just going to do it for real. So I actually went down and filed an LLC for M3 Tactical Tech. I kind of always had this knife tactical company in my head, and I've been planning it for a while before that. And by the time I got done with my degree from Grand Canyon, I had a company. So
awesome.
That's kind of how it started. But what do you want to see first?
Well, let's go into more of the company, actually.
Sure.
So tell me, where does M3 come from?
So M3 is actually, I'm a Christian, so the 3 is special to me because of Father, Son, Holy Ghost.
Got it.
So that was the true meaning behind the 3. The M's actually stand for something, so it's modern mission mobility. So we try to use, we do use modern operations. We try to make things specific to a mission, and then we try to make them mobile. So a lot of knife companies fail when they get to the sheath and carry systems.
Yeah.
So we try to have a very versatile carry system to make sure that whatever you're going to end up doing with it, you have multiple options on how you want to attach it to your belt, your gear, your pocket, whatever.
So how easy, I guess we can start going over, but how easy is it to attach? Like when today, funny enough, I forgot my wallet.
Yeah.
So how easy is it, like if I'm running out the house, just throw something on my hip?
Well, actually, I can show you a personal demonstration of that.
Okay.
So I'll show you what I carry. So I was a police officer in the Air Force. And one of the things I never had on me was a pen. And everybody kind of made fun of me for that. Cop without a pen. So this is actually a 30-06
nice
round bullet pen. And that, as you can see, is always with me on my wallet. So
good shit.
It attaches to the wallet. You can detach it, but it's just a versatile carry system. That wallet and pen system I actually designed myself, and then I work with a leather crafter who makes it.
Good shit.
And this is what we call the Gen Tac system for the tactical gentleman. So
tactical gentleman, like that.
So you see I have my knife on there. That tool in the back, if you want to pull it out.
Dude, you just pulled out like a shit ton of stuff. I had no idea this was on you to begin with.
So that's kind of the whole point, is like concealability and having as many tools. It's almost like I'm carrying a multi-tool, but it's just really high quality stuff.
Yeah.
So you guys can feel how tough the leather is. I've been carrying these every day for the last year and a half, and to me, the leather still looks pretty new. So.
Oh, I like that.
I designed that because I like to carry a lot of stuff, but I don't want crap moving around in my pocket. So,
dude, we're speaking the same language.
It's just kind of the easy way to put it all together. I'll show you that tool real quick.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So this was actually a tool that I designed myself, and again, we do a lot of water jet cutting. So in the knife and tool industry, there's a lot of ways you can make a product.
Yeah.
One of the things that we use often is a water jet, because the water jet, once we design something in CAD, it'll come through and cut it out, and it'll be perfect every time. Like it's going to be the same shape. Some guys that do one piece at a time, they might use a vertical bandsaw, and you can imagine going around in some of these small areas, it would take forever to cut something out.
Plus, any little mistake you make is going to have to scrap the whole thing.
Yeah, exactly. So this is a pry bar. That square hole is a 3/16 acetylene tank wrench. So if you need to turn on an acetylene tank, you can use this tool. You have a bit that comes out and goes up in the top here, so you can use it as a bit driver.
No way.
You have a bottle opener.
Yeah.
And then this is a Kubaton, which is a metal finger for pressure point manipulation. So that's
Mm-hmm.
a non-lethal tool.
So we were just talking about lethal versus non-lethal on the way over here, because I told him about the knuckles, which were badass, and he mentioned to me that if you are caught with a fight, and I don't know much, so I can't say yes or no.
This is a great question.
So if you are caught in a fight and you do use it, it's lethal. It's a lethal weapon.
Could be considered lethal force.
Okay.
So the one thing that I tell everybody is I hope to God that I never have to use anything that I carry. And I would think that most people would say the same thing that are responsible, is that none of us ever plan to have to use anything. So what I tell people is it doesn't matter if you have a knife, a knuckle, a gun. In Arizona, it happens to be legal to carry a knuckle. That's not the same in every state, so you do have to check your state laws. But if you were to use a knuckle, a knife, or a gun to defend yourself, it doesn't matter what. I mean, I could pick up a chair and hit somebody with it. It could be considered lethal force, right? If I go too far. So when I was a police officer, one of the things that we spent a lot of time on was the use of force model.
Yeah.
So you only use enough force to control the situation. And once you get to that point and you have the situation under control, then you back down, right? Like you take away that force that you're using, only enough to control the situation. So once you got everything under control, do what you got to do to secure your weapon. Pull back a little bit and just make sure you deal with that person with respect in the same way you would deal with anybody.
Okay.
So
that's a good point. So, I mean, I will say that I thankfully have never had to use a knife or any weapon to defend myself in any situation. Even been born and raised in New York and, lived in the Bronx for, a good part of my life and moved around so many times. Well, my stepfather, he was former Air Force. He was actually stationed over here at Luke Air Force Base when he was. And he told me the story where when he left the military, he was pretty much in the Bronx, and this guy tried to rob him, and he pulled out his pocket knife and cut him, and that would cut his coat and scare the shit out of him pretty much as a point to like, hey, I'm not afraid to use it any more than this, so back off type of thing. So in those situations, and now that you have your police background, now that you mentioned that, how do you explain that? So how do I say if that happens to me, hey, I stabbed this guy because I was defending myself or whatever it is. How does that plan out? Like I'll be honest with you, as much as I love guns, I don't want a gun because I don't want to ever get caught in that conversation.
Yeah.
And it sucks to have to figure out whether I want to be this or that type of thing. And that's where I'm at. I'll be honest, my appearance does not give that of somebody I walk into a room, I know for a fact somebody's sizing me up. I know for a fact somebody's looking at me as if, who is this guy? He's 6'3", bald, bearded. What's his story? And I don't let that bother me, but I know for a fact it happens. I go to random places. I know for a fact people see me that way. So if I were to do that, or if anybody else in my position would do that, how do I properly defend myself and say I'm in the right type of thing?
So first of all, I'd like to say something before I answer that. So the first thing I tell people is I would rather be in that position than to have. I always think of defense as I'm probably not going to have to really defend myself. I don't think a lot of people would look at me and mess with me. People say sometimes I look crazy, so I'm good with that. I like looking crazy. But if I did have to defend somebody else, my thing is I would rather have to sit in front of a jury and explain myself than have something happen to somebody else. And so that's how I always look at it. Okay. But if I did have to sit in front of a jury, that's what you have to think about. Like, am I going to go too far? Do I trust myself? Do I train? And so yesterday when you and I were talking, it's a lot of people carry a gun and maybe they shouldn't, not because you shouldn't be able to carry a gun, but because there's a lot of training that goes into pulling a firearm, hitting your actual target. Because if there's other people standing around, like you're freaking out and you pull your gun and you don't know how to use it under pressure, that could be a dangerous situation. So I would say that if you are somebody who carries something for self-defense, that you need to know how to use it. And you need to know how to use it effectively. And it's best if you train for situations under pressure.
So that's also a good point too, because I'll be honest with you, I've had countless debates on Facebook about, and we kind of touched on this yesterday, like you said, where the more is better for some people, they think. But back to your point, if you don't have the proper training, if your mind isn't where it needs to be when you use, pull, whatever it is, even if your intention's in the right place, whatever happens afterwards, it's your fault. It's on you.
Yeah.
There's no, I did this with this intention or that intention. There's an accident. Once you pull, and if you know, if it's going to hit somebody, you want to make sure you hit the right person.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you mentioned that, because that coming from somebody with your background and your information, that actually, I don't want to say helps my argument, but it definitely shows that it's I'm not the only one that thinks this way.
Yeah.
I do, like I said, I'm a huge fan of guns. If you want to own a gun, by all means.
Me too.
I've heard the argument that if something goes down, I'm going to run to the guy with the gun. Like I said, my features, I don't know if the guy's going to trust me or she's going to trust me. I might be looking at the target. But that is a good point. So let's go into the actual fun stuff that you have here, all the goodies.
So we do make a wide variety of knives and tools. So that's the first thing I'll say. Something funny that we joke about all the time, and I think if you have any trade, you kind of know this. So like my dad is an AC guy, and I have a couple of friends in different trades, and they're like, I got a carpenter friend, and he's like, my siding on my house is falling apart, and here I am, knife and tool maker, and our flagship blade, I don't have one because they're all sold.
Well, that's a good problem,
and that's great, yeah. But it's funny because I've been at the point where I've tried to retain something for myself, and one time I was at a bar, a guy walked up to me, asked if he could buy my knife. He made me a stupid offer that I wasn't going to refuse, and there it goes. So,
that's the business.
Yeah, so this is this is probably our second most popular of the knives. So this is a punch dagger. The steel that we really like to use is called CPM 3V. CPM 3V is a very high-end tool steel. They actually make metal shears out of it. So they make stuff that will cut metal out of CPM 3V. It's not cheap. It's not easy to come by. It's expensive to work with, but I can tell you that we've never had one warranty issue with that steel. It has a very high corrosion resistance. It ranks high on the toughness, and it also has good edge retention. So just so you guys know, we do sponsor a professional hunter. Her name is Rose Moore. She happens to have the same last name, but we're not related.
I'm not going to lie. I thought that was one name. I was like, so what's her first name?
Her name's Rose. She skinned 43 animals and has never sharpened her blade.
That's awesome.
So that's one of the reasons we like to use that steel, is because we've never had one warranty issue with it, just because of how tough it is. And edge retention, like I mentioned, the corrosion resistance. So it is a carbon steel. It's not a stainless steel, but because it has a high corrosion resistance, if you live in like a humid climate, you don't have to worry about oiling it as much.
What are you using for the coating and for the handle?
So this coating, good question. This coating is actually KG coating. So we don't coat a lot of our knives, but this one, so let me back up a little bit. Some of our knives we make on a CNC machine. So we machine some of our products, and some of our knives we actually are hand finished. So this is a hand finished knife. One of the gentlemen that we work with to put this knife out, he does this coating, and a lot of our handle material is G10. G10 is a laminate fiberglass resin. So it's just basically powderized fiberglass mixed with a resin, and it's used actually in the electrical industry, and it's very tough. In fact, this dagger right here, this is a non-metallic version of that same punch dagger.
Oh, nice.
That is actually made completely out of G10.
And there's no metal in this at all?
There's no metal in that, and this is the sheath right here, which is solid leather. No metal in that as well. So you can use your imagination and know what a non-metallic dagger would be for.
Similar to like, what is it, Zytel?
Yeah.
Will this get me through TSA?
I would not recommend. I do not endorse anyone try to get things through TSA. So that's not what I.
Okay, no, I'm just asking because it's not metal. So that's the first thing. Okay, one, it's not metal. Check that off.
Yeah,
but it's still considered a weapon. So yeah. They're gonna stop me. No, but it feels pretty badass, and even the edges. I mean, for being not being metal, it just feels really sharp.
Yeah, it is. It is.
And it's like, I mean,
it's not sharpened, but it is sharp.
It is. It feels. I'll be honest with you, like a quarter of the
weight
of the other one.
So I've worn that punch dagger multiple times. So let me see that sheath.
Oh yeah.
If you look at the sheath, the way that the sheath was designed.
Sorry, I don't know if I had that correctly.
This sheath was designed so that you could neck carry it.
Okay.
So you have a neck lanyard, but then you can also take this off. The way I carry it is vertically on my belt, but you can also turn it horizontal. So we got horizontal, vertical, or neck carry.
Nice.
And this sheath was designed so that you had a lot of versatility. I actually carry it just like this here, and I can't tell you how many times I had the stagger on and totally forgot that I was carrying it that day. I usually carry the same stuff every day. EDC is a widely used term. It means everyday carry.
Okay.
A lot of guys use that term loosely. It's only stuff you carry every day, but that dagger gets a lot of use. So anyways, that is the name of this dagger is the Megalodon XL punch dagger. The reason it's called a Megalodon tooth is that we actually took the shape of a real shark tooth and just made it into a dagger.
As soon as you held it up, I saw it.
Yeah.
I was like, nah, I got it.
One of the things that I like to do, it's kind of fun, is take things from nature that were designed for a certain purpose, and because we make self-defense weapons, is what I'll call them, I don't think anyone can argue with the effectiveness of a shark tooth.
No. That's it. Like I said, as soon as you held it, I was like, got it.
Yeah.
I see exactly what you're talking about.
So let's talk about something else, because we do a very diverse set of tools.
Yeah.
So I'll go straight to I'm sorry, not the puncher, the knuckle. So this is a single knuckle. You guys can each. So that one is made out of bronze. This one is copper. This is bronze. This is brass. That one is bronze. So you can see the different looks.
Yeah.
Some of them have a patina on them. This one's been darkened. That one has a patina and a darkening solution chemical that we use. And then we stabilize all the chemicals afterwards, of course, so it's not going to you're not going to get sick from holding it or using it. Or
won't turn green on me.
Yeah. But the copper might turn your hand green, but you'd have to be wearing it all day for that to happen. Yeah. But so this was actually designed to be used in conjunction with either a knife or a gun for a less than lethal force option. So if you think about this knuckle, it sure could injure somebody, right? Or disable them. But this was intended to have either your firearm in this hand, because you can still hold your firearm at the same time you hold this knuckle. But if I need to create space, if I need to tap somebody in the sternum here, if I need to create space, I can do that without having to shoot them.
Got it.
So this was, it looks mean, sounds mean, but this is actually a better option than having to take somebody out. So this was actually created for that purpose, was to work in conjunction with either a knife or
and it has a good weight to it too. Like it doesn't.
It's 7 ounces.
It's a legit. It's like,
and
it's not something that I mean, what a boxing glove is 12 ounces, 12 ounce boxing gloves, roughly, right? 12, 14 ounces, 16 ounces. I mean, it's
all in one little space.
Exactly, and it has a great overall
So the way you wear
I'm not saying I would want to use it.
Yeah, right.
But if I found myself in a position, it feels
the way
like
you wear it is you put that heavy part down in your palm.
That's even better.
And if you could see the different levels on there, so this kind of steps up here. That's to fill the inside of your palm area. And the reason that step is there is because a lot of knuckles aren't made correctly. And if you actually hit somebody with it, it'll break your finger. So this has enough meat in your palm that it's not going to move on you if you actually have to use it.
Got it.
So,
okay. Good shit.
Have you made it with the other stuff that you used on the handle?
No, this is bronze.
I'm saying, have you made it with that before?
Oh, yes. We actually have plans to do some in G10, so they're lightweight.
Okay.
Yeah, non-metallic. Yep. All right. So,
what's this bad boy over here?
Yeah, we'll get to that knife here. This is this is one of our defensive knives. I guess you guys can kind of see how the aggressive features on this knife.
Is that like a reverse Tonto?
Yeah. It's more of a sack shape, but yes, it would be called like a reverse Tonto.
I'm just thinking the color schemes all around. I'm not gonna lie. they look cool enough. I'll buy it just for the way it looks.
So that handle is actually aerospace carbon fiber that came from Boeing.
No
so
shit.
yeah, it's pretty good stuff.
Nice.
Is it stainless steel hardware that you use?
Yes, that's. Let me see that one. Might be coated.
What is it?
I can't see it from here. It might be coated steel. Yeah, I think that's coated steel. Or black oxide, actually. And you can see the sheath. So our sheath maker is Matt Nichols of Grizzly Outdoors. Arguably the best sheath maker in the United States. He's amazing. And I'll kind of show you some of the sheath features here in a minute.
Yeah, it looks like it's easy to adjust.
It's very easy to adjust, yeah.
So start to finish, how long does it take to make on average? I know everything's different, but on average.
That's a good question. It really depends if we're doing handmade versus if we're CNC machining something. This was a handmade item. Actually, the bladesmith that we work with on this knife in particular. So we work with a couple different bladesmiths that have their own designs, and then we have our own designs that we either work with some bladesmiths to produce or we produce them on the CNC machine. Then vice versa, if one of our bladesmiths has a really popular design, we turn around and CNC a production run of that knife so that it can be available to more people than just a one-off, because they do take a long time. This knife probably from start to finish is a 3 to 5 day project.
Really?
So it's not an easy thing to do because we cut out the blank on the water jet. That's the quickest part. Then we put the grinds on, then you heat treat it, and then you do the scales, and these scales are all hand finished. So everything you see on this scale is hand done. And just these little tiny details, you see the jimping here in the front and back. All that has to be smoothed over and chamfered. So it's a good process. Okay. And I don't want to make it sound like this guy's 8 hours a day for 3 days. You work on it a little bit, come back to it. He might have other knives he's doing, things like that. I'm sure if he worked on this, straight, maybe a day and a half or so. So some good time goes into these. What I wanted to point out was on this design specifically, it's called the MLB. You have a knuckle there. You have a big finger guard, so there's no way that knife is going to slip down into the blade there, or your hand isn't going to slip down into the blade. But anyways, this knife was actually designed to hold like this. So it's not as comfortable if you hold it like this, but that's kind of done on purpose.
So with the way you held it, is it more of a cross motion type of thing?
So if you think about it, you always have your less than lethal force forward, right? So you don't have to stab. Yeah. And then you can kind of come back in here like that and go in if you have to.
Okay.
Yeah. And this sheath has a built-in thumb release. So it's kind of specific to what the customer wants. We found most customers like the thumb release. It's where you can come in here like that. Okay. But if you have it set up the way that I have it set up, this clip actually will retain 70 pounds of retention. The company that makes it is called Ulti Clip. You can actually clip that directly onto your pocket. In fact, if I can stand up here for a second.
Oh, go ahead.
So the sheath stays in your pocket. You can just draw it effectively with that.
That's cool.
Not too much trouble there.
That I like. You're selling me on this one. So you mentioned earlier and in your conversation about everything here, proper usage and when to use and how to use all that good stuff. Do you actually train?
I do train. I have a few guys that I train with. Jason Johnson has probably been the most instrumental person in my life recently. He's a professional knife thrower. He's actually the #1 knife thrower in the USA. We're actually making one of his knives currently called the Sabertooth, and we're doing a production run of that knife. And Jason's been a good friend, but he's got a lot of combat experience and training and things like that. So I train with him. I do a lot more. I would say I do a lot more firearm training. Okay. That's kind of the thing that I focus on the most. But I'm very proficient with a knife. I was a police officer in the military. Trained while I was in the military, not through the military, but I did a lot of training while I was in the military as well. So, yes, I make sure that I'm very up to speed on my training.
Good shit, man.
Thank you.
So if anybody now that we're just talking about the business and everything else, so if anybody wanted to go into training with you with that, what is the best contact?
So I actually don't offer training, but here's who I would talk to. So there's a dojo called Two Knuckle Sport up in Surprise.
What's it called again?
Two Knuckle.
Where's that off of?
It's in Surprise. I'm trying to remember the cross streets, but if you go up Litchfield in Surprise and Bell, and you make a left, if you look up Two Knuckle Sports on Facebook, Instagram, or online, they're in Surprise, Arizona. Okay. And my friend Nico owns that dojo. Mm-hmm. He's a very accomplished martial artist, and I would suggest that you go talk to him if you want some martial arts training.
Okay, good shit.
He's a good guy.
And he uses...
he trains a lot without weapons, so it's mostly hand-to-hand combat, things like that.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. You want me to go over some of the fun stuff?
There's some little things here that I'm looking at. I got a raptor and a raptor claw.
Let me think what I want to grab first. I guess I'll actually talk about the rings first. So we don't just do weapons. We do a lot of men's like high-end stuff. If you look inside that ring, there's a carbon fiber inlay on the inside. And then on the outside, that material is called Fordite. And if you guys don't know what Fordite is, it's actually layers of paint that came off of old vehicles. Old vehicles.
Really?
Like in the 80s.
Hence the Fordite.
Yeah, Fordite.
I was like, I know exactly what Fortnite is. Well, no, Fordite.
I believe that's an 84 Ford, actually.
No shit.
Came off of, yeah. And it starts out in a chunk like yay thick. And then we work with a company called Rad Rings to make those. Mm-hmm. Then we have those available on our website as well. So one thing I would tell everybody that's listening, we do work with about 43 makers across the United States that we support their business by working with them. So I like to tell people when you buy something from M3, you're actually buying a piece of America because there's a lot of people that are involved in bringing one product to the market. So it's fun.
I mean, also with craft beer, you support your local business. So
right?
It's all come together. So
yeah. Transplant City Beer has been very cool with us hosting this little interview here. So appreciate them.
So I'm gonna ask a stupid question. This is just jewelry.
Yeah,
I mean, it's nice.
Just jewelry. It doesn't shoot laser beams or anything.
Dude, you never know. Put that in, pencil that in. That's going to be the next product now.
So this is actually another product I designed myself that it took off a lot faster than I thought it would. And it looks pretty simple. It doesn't look like it has as many features as it does. But now this foot, because it's more of a decorative collector's item, the foot is actually kind of ground away a little bit. But in the titanium models and stainless steel and carbon steel that we have Cerakoted, this little foot will actually pull the AR pin up on a rifle. So if you got pins on your rifle that get stuck, you can use this foot to pull it up. He's got a bottle opener here on the back of his leg. Again, you have the acetylene tank wrench. You have the bit driver. He's actually a spike knuckle. And if you have a lanyard on here...
Actually, you can get away with this.
You get away with that. Yeah, exactly. You get away with him as a bottle opener pretty easily.
Yeah.
Bit driver.
I was like, listen, I don't know what you're talking about.
And if you have a lanyard attached to his tail, it would suck to get hit with that on the other end of a lanyard. So, but
it's pretty dope.
That's easily one of the most purchased items.
Really?
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. That's like a...
Well, so my wife and I have two boys. They're 8 years old and 5 years old. And so that was actually something that I came up with for the kids to carry around because they wanted something that was M3 tactical to support their dad. And I wanted it to be something fun that they like to carry. So
cool. I like that.
Now, every one of us guys is a big kid, and most of us have one. So
yeah, right? I remember this is definitely a step up from my original pocket knife.
Yeah.
I remember that very vividly. My stepfather gave it to me, and first thing my mother was, oh my God, you're gonna hurt yourself. And I'm literally out there with a knife, going. I was doing something on the tree, and obviously it was the way the blade would close.
Yeah.
And so my grandfather saw that and caught a heart attack. So yeah. it's one of those things where like you want to show them more, but you got to make sure they know what the hell they're doing.
Yeah.
And I'm a prime example of that. Thankfully, I didn't hurt myself, but easy could be a problem if I let myself get to that point.
Yeah.
So this is
I'll show you that claw. So the claw was really designed more of as a necklace. So this is something you could just wear, under your shirt or over it or whatever. I kind of found out on accident that it is kind of effective like that. If you hold it in your hand, it doesn't move a whole lot. I have tested it out as far as scratching and stuff like that. It probably would do a little bit of damage, but again, you have a bit driver and an acetylene tank wrench. And that acetylene tank wrench is kind of popular with a lot of the guys that we make stuff alongside and do collaborations with, because a lot of them are using an acetylene tank, and it's just something cool to have on you. That was actually an idea from one of our customers that works in machine shop, and he said, "Hey man, nobody makes a tool that has a 3/16 acetylene tank wrench on it." And I was like, "I'm on it, dude." And now it's pretty much incorporated into every one of our tools.
I mean, if the area is there and it's useful, why not, right?
Exactly.
It's an easy selling point too.
Yeah. And that's one of the things we try to do a lot, is make our tools as usable as possible, because
again,
limiting the amount of things you have to carry is really important.
Yeah.
And I don't smoke, but I always have a lighter. I do smoke cigars, but make sure I have a lighter on me. And then just to kind of share a few other things, this is our full-size Kuba tool.
A what tool?
It's called a Kuba tool. So the main function is a Kubaton, which is the metal finger portion here, where you can
pressure point. Got it.
Yeah, that kind of stuff. But I called it a Kuba tool because it's a Kubaton plus a multi-tool.
Yeah.
So
Aluminum.
that's actually titanium. Yeah.
I do like the multi-use for everything.
Yeah.
I'm serious. Like it's one of those things where it's like you carry it, right? The claw.
Yeah.
Easily could be jewelry or a screwdriver,
right,
or a weapon to defend yourself, or so yeah. It's
like if you're gonna wear something or have something on you, might as well be usable.
Yeah. Let's see if we can break it. I gotta get a beer refill.
Yeah.
So when I walk through the mall and I see this knife shop, and there's this guy behind the counter selling these knives. What's the difference? I guess you could say. Are those like trophy knives? Are those just decoration? Are those? And I'm not trying to say you're going to sit here and downplay everybody else.
I'll totally answer that in a good way. So here's what I tell people: if you go to Walmart or Big Five or any of these places and you buy a knife, if it's a knife that you're just going to use to open boxes and things like that, and it's just a knife you want to have to carry, it can still defend you. It could still do all those things. Our knives are made for people that are serious about their knives. Okay. I hope that people use our knives. A lot of guys collect them, but all of us hope that our knives are used. Ours are more for serious people that are looking for a hard use knife. Our pricing is quite a bit different than if you go purchase a knife at a store. But I would say most of the knives that you can buy in a store are made of 440 stainless steel, probably made in China or Japan or something like that. And I'm not knocking people that spend $35 on a knife or something like that. But I would not trust that knife to be used repeatedly and hold an edge and things like that. So if you're looking for a hard use knife that you can, put your life on, something you're gonna count on to be there when you need it.
Yeah.
And if you're a heavy user, a lot of our users are high-end tactical guys or hunters and things like that. Chefs, we do a lot of chef knives.
I was going to ask you about that. So because I have a buddy who's a chef, and I cook a lot myself. I'm always cutting up vegetables, meat, whatever it is.
Yep.
How many options of knives do you have with that?
We have unlimited options, and the one thing that we also do is we do a lot of custom work. So I've had a lot of chefs come to me, hunters come to me, guys in the tactical industry, and they have this knife that they want for a specific reason. And as long as they're willing to work with us and to cover the cost of what it costs us to produce a custom knife, we can definitely produce a custom knife.
Awesome.
So, yeah.
All right, let's go into the big ones.
The big ones.
Yeah.
So the two knives that I'm going to show you are a Polish maker that we work with to bring these two designs to market.
Okay.
One of them is both of them are actually one-off customs, but you can kind of get an idea of his work. Mm-hmm. And then once we land on a knife that we're all really happy with and we get a lot of customer demand, then again, we take that knife to production and do multiples. These are actually, one of these is actually... I
don't hear you guys. He told me that.
Both of these are going to me with Blade. Blade Show is the biggest knife show that I know of.
Hold on. So just to preface this, he actually said he wanted to wait to see my reaction when he pulled out these knives. Now, real quick. So at what length does it become a sword?
That's kind of up to the user.
Okay. So
here in Arizona, in the city, city boys, probably anything over 9 inches overall is going to be not your typical knife anymore.
Okay,
is what I could say. But I think everyone. So I'm going to show you the smaller of the two first.
Oh God!
You said the Croc Dundee moment.
Oh, there you go.
Right. So
that's it.
That's the Croc Dundee moment.
That's a pretty bad. Is this ivory?
It is. It's actually a synthetic ivory.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Does that also have the KG coating on it?
That is a different coating.
Holding it.
Watch out! It's sharp on the top. My bad. It's sharp on the top.
I was like, that's pretty.
The main edge is there. Yeah.
This is pretty badass.
Yeah. Don't drink and show off knives to people and forget things.
What were you saying the coating was for this?
I don't know what coating he used, but he switched to a different coating. So that's the first coating that he was using.
Yeah, that's definitely the Crocodile Dundee knife.
But you can see it actually has a forged mild steel pommel and a forged guard. So those are all hand forged. And then that blade is 6150. So there's 5160, which is commonly used in the knife industry. Mm-hmm. It's actually spring steel from like a leaf spring. Mm-hmm. That's 6150, which is referred to as sword steel. So that would be a steel that you use to make swords out of. And you can see there's a couple features here that I really want to point out. So you can see the weight of the pommel, right? But you can see the balance of this knife. Mm-hmm. It is not very thick because it's meant to be quick and fast, right?
So this is the nerd in me is going to ask this question. This is my zombie. This is my zombie-ish knife. Is what you're saying?
This is a knife I would be very happy to take with me bear hunting or something like that in case I have an unfortunate encounter. Yeah.
All right.
But this thing is the thing that I want to point out is there's a lot of big knives and there's a lot of swords, but if they're not tough enough to stand up to some heavy duty tasks, I personally don't think they're worth carrying.
Got it.
So we got videos of us chopping wood with these things. They're super tough. And we use the right steel and we know what the boundaries are.
Hold on. Wait, pull this one out. Yeah. So he said the first one was a smaller one.
Yeah.
This one's the bigger one of the two.
This is the Wakizashi, which is a smaller version of the katana. This actually has a pretty expensive sheath system. So it has straps. It has a Kydex sheath with leather wrapped around it, so you can actually wear it on your back, and a Cobra buckle from Austria-Alpin.
Dude, I haven't seen it yet. I'm sold. Like everything you just said right now, you sold me on it.
So,
look at this thing.
So I'll toss it on here so you guys can see the
model it.
And I still haven't actually set this thing up for my body type. Yeah, because it is fully adjustable.
You see this? Like I'm digging this already.
All right. Everyone wanted to be Leonardo when we were kids, so it's my Leonardo sword. But anyways, if this is adjusted the right way and this is snug, you could reach back here and draw like that. So.
Oh man. I'm gonna take 4 of these. I'll take 4.
Was this a one-off or was it made with a katana and a tanto?
Yeah, this is a one-off that we're actually doing some CAD for, and then we're going to mass produce that one. Well, and I got to correct myself. We don't do mass production.
Yeah.
So when we produce a knife, we do a maximum of 300. So that goes back to M3. We have a limit of 300. So we don't ever sell more than 300 of one design. And that's important to us because we actually put serial numbers on everything that we come out with. We have a certificate of authenticity, and that just keeps the trade value and the secondary market prices up there for the collectors.
Hey, Justin, are you seeing this right now? You seeing this? I'm in love more with. I'm not gonna lie to you. I like this sword or this knife. Again, you call it a knife, right? So you're not calling it a sword.
I would say that's pretty much a sword. Yeah.
It's every time I make that comment or have that conversation. I don't know if you've ever seen Robin Hood Men in Tights.
Yeah.
Where Mel Brooks hands the sword. He's like, "Here's your knife." He's like, "It's a sword." So no, this is
that would be a short sword at this point. There you go.
And that was made by the same Polish.
Yep, same Polish custom maker.
And the sheath was made.
The sheath is made by the same sheath guy that we use, which is Matt Nichols over at Grizzly Outdoors.
Okay,
the more I look at it, the more I like just the way it looks.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't get me wrong. I'm pretty sure that the sword itself is effective, but just the way it looks.
I think there's something, as a man, there's something sexy about a katana. And a short version of a katana that we could actually have in our houses is kind of like
don't get me wrong. I've been at people's houses. I've seen the triple katana display. I've seen that. But this is where I say, okay, I want that. But this is where I really want that. I really want that.
So I saw before I started working with this maker, I saw a picture of his work and I immediately, I think it was 3 a.m. and I sent him a message on Facebook. I don't know what time it was where he was at, but I was like, dude, we have to make this happen. We got to bring this to the United States, And he was actually very responsive and he was interested, and I'm going to help him move a couple of his products out here right away. And we just started talking and built a bond. So,
dude, I mean,
thank you.
I love everything here. That's the other show. I'm
Takes
sorry.
the cake, man.
Yeah, it does.
Best for last.
I love everything. Everything that you have and you brought. I would say, besides this being my favorite, the hand is it? What's it called again? Sorry,
this one.
Yeah,
Punch dagger.
Punch dagger. Yeah. That one specifically because of how light it is.
Yeah.
And how how light it is. It's just.
I think probably out of anything else that we could, because that is in a different price range than one of our steel knives. That is probably the most sold product that we have.
I can see why. I mean,
it's very applicable to pretty much anybody, and anyone can carry it because it's so lightweight.
Yeah.
You can get it into pretty much anywhere you want to take it. So it's another.
And
and nobody that I know of, I've done a lot of research. Nobody makes anything like that. So there's other non-metallic weapons that you can purchase. But out of all, I have a video on YouTube of us pounding that through a 2x6. It is very strong. Yeah. So the likelihood of that ever failing on you is very low.
So this sword and your Thanos
bead, yeah.
Thanos bead. Yeah. I love everything else, but if I were to say this is what I want to take with me, that would be my 3. And it's only because I'm a huge. Not that I'm saying nothing else is practical, but just the way that besides
the one thing that I like to tell everyone is you're the one that's in control of your decision of what you're going to carry, and everybody has a different opinion on what they want to carry. So I don't knock anyone, for their choice. It's just I carry a Glock, and there's a lot of Glock fanboys. I'm not a Glock fanboy.
I love Glocks,
but I love Glock. And we can get into an argument about that. We can get into an argument about sports teams or anything else. But it's whatever you like is what you're going to carry.
I will say on record, now that we're talking about it, slightly veer off topic, Glock and the I think it's called the Vector Chris.
Is it the crazy looking
It looks
rifle?
Like a Glock, but it shoots like a rifle.
Okay. I know what the Vector is. Yeah.
And I shot that gun about.
It's a 9mm carbine rifle,
I believe
right?
so.
Yeah.
And I shot about 9 years. No, not 9 years ago. Too long ago. Maybe 6 years ago. 5-6 years ago. I shot it for the first time. and it was in a range, and I loved it immediately.
Yeah.
It was one of those guns that once I held it,
It's got a lot of ergonomics built into it.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
and it was so I loved it. It was one of those things where then I looked up how much it cost, and I'm like, I don't love it that much. But one day, if I were to spend the money to buy a gun, that would probably be one of the first ones I buy besides a Glock.
Yeah.
Or after a Glock, I should say. But Glock has also been my favorite too.
Yeah.
Because a Glock is it's one of those guns that you hold and it just feels right.
Yeah.
And I not to knock anything else, obviously there's a shit ton of other guns.
I mean, if you watch any of the special forces sit downs where they all pull out their gear,
yeah,
Glock, Glock. Nobody carries anything but a Glock. So, I mean, I was already carrying a Glock, but that just kind of reinforces my point.
Yeah,
the guys that are out there and they trust themselves with those weapons. Most of them, that's what they carry.
Man. All right. Well, thank you for showing us all these goodies and explaining to us what's going on. I'll be honest with you, I have a cousin who lives in Phoenix, and he's since we were kids, he's a huge knife guy.
Yeah.
And he's a kid who was always playing around with his knife, always twirling in his hands, all this shit. So now that I know you're out here, I'm going to tell him about you and see. He'll see the video, obviously.
Yeah, of course.
I'll send it to him. But I'm like, dude, if you really are serious about your knives, this is the guy to go to. Like, if you're really about your knife game, this is the guy to go to. And I might even tease him on his knives and say, that's bullshit,
hey,
shit.
you don't never know.
Where'd you get that from? Guess what? We got people from Poland. We got people from all over the United States.
Yeah.
But again, thank you for showing us all this. I know it's a lot to carry, so I'll help you put everything back.
Yeah.
Thank you for Transplant for pretty much having us here and hooking us up with the venue even after we stayed after hours. Kevin, appreciate it, brother.
Yes, thank you.
So next time,
Nice working with
maybe we could do a follow-up conversation when you get some new stuff, or whenever you want to, talk about some stuff you want to get out there.
Yeah,
I'm open for it, man.
We got a couple of blades that we're currently doing for a few gentlemen that were on the History Channel, actually. The pro knife thrower, Jason Johnson, as well as Josh Weston, a well-known blacksmith in South Carolina.
Okay. So are you going to be making throwing knives?
Yes. So the Sabertooth is actually a throwing knife. Jason will kill me when he sees this video. It's not just a throwing knife. Yeah, it's actually a hybrid. It's the first of its kind. It's a knife you can use every day, but it is definitely capable of being thrown. Yeah.
So axe throwing is huge now.
Yeah, it's massive.
Do you
I forgot about that.
Do you tie I guess I shouldn't wrap up the show.
Yeah.
Do you tie anything into that at all with what you sell or do?
Yes.
Okay.
Actually, Jason is going to be moving out here full time. We actually are in the process of opening a tap house, coffee bar, retail shop with knife throwing, Airbnb, a barber, and it's right next to a high-end cigar lounge. So it has everything.
Where is this going to be?
Where is this going at?
I'll release the location once we have a lockdown on the place. Yeah.
When are you thinking in terms of opening?
I would say, what are we in May? I would say probably give us about 3 months until we get started.
Okay,
and then
so somewhere in the fall?
Probably another 2 months till it's open. So probably 5 or 6 months from now.
Early fall.
Yep.
Cool.
So we've met with the building owner, met with an architect. My father's actually has a commercial license that he's going to hold on the project. Jason, the knife thrower, is a carpenter, so we've got all the people in the right place, and we're just in the process of getting approved with the city and things like that.
That sounds fucking awesome.
I'm actually going to be talking to these guys about serving beer there, or having their beer there. So
hell yeah.
I know it's going to be man central. It's going to be a lot of guys are going to want to hang out there.
I know you're not disclosing location yet, but something on this side of town, or
because I said it's next to a high-end cigar lounge, it's probably going to be easy to find out. But I would say it's about 25 minutes from here.
Okay.
So I could say that.
Is that okay? I won't get to
details.
Yeah. No, I'm not gonna lie.
Getting too specific.
When you said high-end cigar lounge twice, the one that came to mind is Poodle Cigar over in Chandler.
Not that one.
Huh?
Not that one.
Okay. I have an idea what the other one is, but I want to.
There's a couple really good cigar places here.
Okay.
But this is definitely my favorite place.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. So once again, thank you, brother, for everything.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. Whenever you want to talk about whatever's new, and or when you actually open up the place, let us know. We'll show up and we'll do it again.
Sounds good, man.
All
Thank
right,
you
thanks,
guys
bro.
so much for having
Thank
me.
you.
No problem, man. Thank you for
right.
coming through.